Hi, Wilshire. Happy Wednesday. I'm coming to you from our backyard, like so many of your backyards. Pretty cold out here. Snow everywhere. Snow all over the bird bath. Little bird bath just behind me. Hope you're staying warm. If your power's gone out, we're so sorry. Hang in there. Hope you get through this in good shape. Just want to remind you of two things. Today is Ash Wednesday. And you'll be able to participate in our Ash Wednesday service if you go to the Wilshire YouTube channel starting today at noon, or you can tune in anytime after that. Please tune in, be a part of this worship experience as we all begin the season of Lent together. This year's theme for Lent is Dying to Live. And one way that we're leaning into that theme is Leigh has compiled this year's Spotify playlist for Lent. How do you find it? Go to Spotify and search for Dying to Live Lent 2021 at Wilshire. I know that's a long search title. So here it is one more time. Dying to Live Lent 2021 at Wilshire. Tune in, listen to that music, worship and reflect through that. And these tunes will be dropping, I think Leigh's going to drop them through social media, maybe one a day along the way. Be warm, be well, take care. Have a good day.
Hi friends, I'm glad that you're joining us today. Today we're going to continue reflecting and exploring the parables together and alongside Howard Thurman. Today we're going to talk about another parable that you probably are fairly familiar with, and that's the parable of the Prodigal Son. My fellow resident Leanna Coyle-Carr will offer some reflection on that parable for you. But for now, let's settle in together. Maybe take some deep breaths and check in with yourself. How's your week been so far? Is there anything that you're carrying with you right now that is maybe weighing a little heavily on you? Maybe it's something that you need to let go of. Or maybe it's something you just need to put off to the side for a few minutes. How are you? However you come into this space today, you are welcome. All of you is welcome here. So let's take a few moments and breathe together and breathe in God's presence. Let yourself be enveloped by God's presence and hear these words from Howard Thurman. I rest this day in God. I do not seek the comfort of a guarantee that all my tomorrows will be safe and sure. That strength will be mine at a single time to carry all my need in the days ahead. This would be much, too much, for such a one as I. I rest this day in God. I put in a single place all the pieces of my erring ways, the urgent thoughts, both good and bad, together with my rights and wrongs. All in a single place they go. Here they lie where all is loss and all is gain, for they are mine. As for me, I rest this day in God. I do not seek to cast aside the burdens which are mine, to find some easy way to lift the heavy load, to shift to other backs what has found its way upon my own. They are mine, shaped and fashioned in their own sure place. Why? I am never sure, but this I know. I rest this day in God. however you come today, however you are today, whatever you carry today, rest this day in God.
Love writes a letter and sends it to hate. My vacation's ending, I'm coming home late. The weather was fine and the ocean was gray, and I can't wait to see you again. Hate reads the letter, throws it away. No one here cares if you go or you stay. And I barely even noticed that you were away. I'll see you or I won't, whatever. Love sings a song as she sails through the sky. The water looks bluer through her pretty eyes, and everyone knows it whenever she flies, and also when she comes down. Hate keeps his head up and walks through the street. Every stranger and drifter he greets, and shakes hands with every loner he meets, with a serious look on his face. Love arrives safely, suitcase in tow, just carrying with her the good things we know. A reason to live and a reason to grow, to trust, to hold, to care. Hate sits alone on the hood of his car, without much regard to the moon or the stars, lazily killing the last of a jar of the strongest stuff you can drink. Love takes a taxi, a young man drives. As soon as he sees her, hope fills his eyes. But tears follow after at the end of the drive, 'cause he might never see her again. He gets home lucky to still be alive. He screams o'er the sidewalk and into the drive. The clock in the kitchen says 2:55, and the clock in the kitchen is slow. Love has been waiting, patient and kind, just wanting a phone call, some kind of sign. But the one that she cares for, who's out of his mind, will make it back safe to her arms. Hate stumbles forward, leans in the door. Weary head hung down, eyes to the floor. He says, love, I'm sorry, and she says, what for? I'm yours and that's it, whatever. I should not have been gone for so long. I'm yours and that's it, whatever. You're mine and that's it, forever.
Hear now a parable from the Gospel according to Luke. Then Jesus said, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the property that belongs to me. So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout the country and began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father. And I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands. So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound. Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him, but he answered his father, listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command, yet you have never given me even a young goat so I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him. Then the father said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and has been found. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I got to read a sermon this week by Howard Thurman, as is our theme for the month of February for Black History Month. And Howard Thurman draws on this parable in a really creative way. The name of the sermon is A Mood to Linger. The Mood to Linger. He preached it in 1958. And in that sermon, he tells a story about late one night walking the streets of his neighborhood in New York City, like really late, like midnight. And he hears something that he hasn't heard before. In the quiet, when everyone else is sleeping, this is back, very early in the 20th century. So everyone is sleeping, traffic is really low, it's quiet, and he hears something new. He hears something that sounds like water. He talks with a friend and mentor a couple days later and says, I heard something that was like water and it was beautiful. And the man chuckled and said, you didn't just hear something that was like water, you heard water. There's a part of the great river here that runs underneath Main Street. That's what you heard. It was quiet enough to hear the depths below. Howard Thurman preaches that type of quiet is essential to our well-being. We must get quiet. It is critical to seek the quiet and to linger there so that we might come to ourselves. Like the prodigal son does there in the quiet barnyard feeding those pigs, and he is still and contemplating eating the slop that the pigs are eating, but it is there that he realizes the truth about himself. He comes to himself and then knows that he can go to his Father. He can return to the embrace of the one who loves him. This week, let us seek the quiet so that we may return to the deep embrace of our God. How can you do that today? As you sit and look at the snow or cuddle up with a loved one, how can you listen for the deep, deep depths within you that cries out for the deep, deep depths of God?
Thank you for joining us today as we continue to reflect together on these parables of Jesus. I invite you to join us again next week for the final installment in this series. Until then, may you rest this day in God. May you linger in the warm embrace of your Creator to remember who you really are, a beloved child of God. Amen.